Hello and welcome to the 2020 Democratic primary between declared candidate Bernie Sanders and unknown, if running, Joe Biden. Before we start the video, please go and subscribe. We are currently at 52 subscribers, and hopefully by the end of March, which we're not even in March yet, we could hit 70 to 75 subscribers, which would be great to gain around 18 to 23 subscribers in a month. This month we're up around 14. So let's get into this. So we're going to start off in Bernie Sanders' home state. I also have the 2016 Democratic primary results and the 2008. The lightest color is between a 1 and 10% margin. The slightly darker is between 10 and 20, and then the dark is 20 and plus. And the yellow is Hillary Clinton, and the purplish is Barack Obama. We're going to start off in Vermont, which is Bernie Sanders' home state, which I could see him getting basically almost 100% of the vote there. Moving into New Hampshire, in 2016, Bernie Sanders won about a 60%, and in polls he's up around 2, and Hillary Clinton carried it compared to Barack Obama. And Joe Biden, I would say, is a similar candidate to Barack Obama. Just Barack Obama's, I would say, is slightly more liberal. Joe Biden's I would say, moderate liberal Democrat, and I would say Obama's basically just a liberal Democrat. So in New Hampshire, I could see probably 70%. No, I could see a 2/3, 1/3. Moving into the state of Maine, in 2016, Bernie Sanders carried it by 65-35 about, and Barack Obama carried it between a 10-20%. So I'm going to land this in Bernie's column because this is more of a progressive state, but it's going to be narrower. So if it was 65, I could bring it down to a 62. Moving into the state of New York, where Hillary Clinton carried it by about a 60-40, and Hillary Clinton carried again. Not too popular there for Joe Biden. So I could see probably maybe a 46 about, and Joe Biden barely carrying it, expanding on his lead from 2016 by around 5%, which is very large, especially in a large state with a lot of delegates, because that's around a 20 net gain, which is a lot of delegates to gain out of one state from beforehand. Moving to the state of Massachusetts, Hillary Clinton edged it out, and she edged it out again against Barack Obama. So I could see this moving into Bernie Sanders' column again. Not again, but this time probably pretty nearly 54-45. Moving into the state of Rhode Island, Bernie Sanders carried it by a 55-45 about, and Barack Obama did not carry it. So I could see this maybe up to a 62% and a 38% for Joe Biden. Moving into the state of Connecticut now, Hillary Clinton edged it out probably by around 2%, and Barack Obama edged it out. So I could see this very competitive, but I'm going to give it to Bernie Sanders just because that election is more recent, and he basically almost won there. So I see him probably gaining slightly more than before, just because now Bernie Sanders is now kind of a base off the new progressive Democratic wave, which has split the party into thirds. So liberals, moderates, and progressives, which is very interesting in how that would affect the 2020 election. Moving into the state of New Jersey, Hillary Clinton carried it by about a 65%, and she carried it again. So because Barack Obama didn't carry it too well, I'm going to give this slightly less, so I could see probably a 58-41, so a slightly closer margin than before. This is going to be actually a very, very close primary. You could already see in the first couple of states where it's only a 4-delegate difference, and there's been about almost 600 delegates that I have placed. Moving into the state of Pennsylvania, this is Joe Biden's state that he was born in, and he's pretty popular there still. Hillary Clinton carried by around 60-40, and she carried it again. So I actually see this one moving into Joe Biden's by about 57-42, 43. So yeah, still very, very close margin. Moving now into the state of Delaware, where Hillary Clinton carried it, which is the state where Joe Biden served in politics. Hillary carried it by around a 60%, and Barack Obama carried it between a 1 and 10%. So I could see this up to 70% to 30%. Moving into the state of Maryland, Hillary carried it by around a 65%, and Barack Obama carried it by around 20% or more, so that's at least a 60%. And I'm going to give it slightly more. I'm going to give him it by 68. Excuse me. Moving into the state of Ohio, one of the most contested states, Hillary Clinton carried it by about a 55%, and she carried it again. So I actually see this one slightly narrower, 47-52. Only about a 61 delegate difference, which is nothing still. Moving into the state of West Virginia, this went by Bernie Sanders about a 52%, but Hillary Clinton got about 35%, and Barack Obama didn't do too well there. So I could see this again going a very large margin, 70-30 about. Moving into this, we're going to not go to the South yet because that's a major area, and same with the West, so we're going to kind of go into the Midwest, which is going to be a very contested area as well. Moving into the state of Indiana, which Barack Obama did not carry it, and Hillary Clinton carried it once, and Bernie carried it the other time. I could see this probably 55-44, slight increase from 2016. Moving now into the state of Illinois, another very contested state. Hillary Clinton edged it out, and Barack Obama won it solidly. He was senator there, but born in the state of Hawaii. I could see Joe Biden could edge it out very closely, because he does have the Obama effect in his primary. So I could see maybe a 53. I'm trying to get it, which is also very close again. Just a slight increase from 2016. Moving into the state of Michigan, where it was about 51-49, and it was about the same. This would actually be, I'm gonna definitely give this to Bernie because of the bailout of the auto industry, which is now very unpopular because their GM is starting to shut down some plants again, which is showing it really didn't work and it was just wasted money. Moving into the state of Wisconsin, Bernie carried it by around or almost 60%, and Barack Obama carried it between 10 and 20%. So this one was very contested as well. But with the auto bailout, I could see that taking effect as well, just slightly narrowing the margin from 2016. Moving into the state of Minnesota now, Bernie carried it by around 65%, and Barack Obama carried it by more than 20%. I'm going to give this to Bernie just because this is more of a progressive state, but it's going to be slightly narrower than before. Moving into the crucial state of Iowa, the one that usually shows which way the country is going to go in the primary election, which polls are showing Joe Biden leads by around 14, but that will definitely be a lot narrower if it was just both of them. Let's narrow this slightly more. Probably a 20 to 21. That seems pretty likely to happen. A 3% difference. Hillary Clinton edged it out. Like you could. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Edged it out very slightly. You can't even tell which side on the pie chart because it does look 50-50, and Barack Obama carried it very, very close too. Wait, did he? Yeah, it was him. So yeah, I could see this edging out for Joe Biden. Moving into the state of Missouri, very close, 51-49, and it was very close as well in 2008. I'm going to edge this out for Bernie Sanders. Still very, very close, about a 22 difference in delegates, and there's over 1,500 total announced that I've done. North Dakota, about a 80-20, but Barack Obama carried it, so I'm going to give it 57-42. Moving into the state of South Dakota, it's about 50-50, carried it both times, but I'm pretty sure actually Bernie Sanders has lost support there, and most polls do show Bernie Sanders losing the state of South Dakota in primary election, or tying. I could really see it going tying or going to Joe Biden, but I feel like personally that Bernie Sanders would not do too well there against Joe Biden, just because he's about the same averagely popular in the Midwest. Like you could see in these percentages, it's very close. Like basically the Midwest is 50-50. Moving into the state of Nebraska now, about 55-45, and went to Barack Obama. So I could see this probably 56-44, about the same results of 2016. Moving now into the state of Kansas with about a 65-35, and Barack Obama carrying it by more than 20%. Just because it's more of a progressive Democrat state, I could see this edging out, not edging out, but kind of securing a victory for Bernie Sanders. So now basically the Midwest and Northeast has been filled out. So already very, 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 very close. 824 to 838, so a 14 delegate difference. And we're going to now move into the West. Not the West Coast, but the West. In the state of Montana, it edged out for Bernie Sanders, and it edged out for Barack Obama, and I could effectively edge this out for Bernie Sanders again. I just don't see Joe Biden doing too well there. as well as in the state of Wyoming. Every poll has shown Bernie Sanders will edge it out there or slightly have a majority. Moving into the state of Idaho with an 80-20 and a 20%. Probably 65-35. Now moving into the state of Utah, about an 80-20, about probably 15 average, so that could probably go about 58-42. Now it's completely tied. I didn't even notice that. 870-870. So almost the whole West and Midwest and Northeast have been filled out, and this is how close it is. Moving into the state of Arizona, Hillary Clinton carried it by around a 60-40, and she carried it again, but very narrowly. I could see Joe Biden edging this one out. But Bernie Sanders gaining some ground from 2016. What state am I looking at now? Let's go to the state of Colorado. About 60-40, and it went to Barack Obama, so I could see this one edging out for Bernie Sanders. Let's get that to 53. And it's tied again, 937-937. Moving into the state of New Mexico, almost 50-50, probably 50-50 almost. And I could actually see Bernie Sanders picking up this state from 2016 very, very narrowly by one delegate. One delegate lead for Bernie Sanders now. Moving into the state of Nevada, very crucial. About a 51-49, probably the same. Because Barack Obama didn't do too well there, and being so narrow and well, you probably did decent there, but I think Hillary Clinton probably carried it around a 5%, and in 2016 it was almost 50-50, so I could see this edging up for Bernie Sanders. Another pickup from 2016, putting him in the lead with 971-968. Moving into the state of Washington, it went by around 75%, but this is one of the most progressive states, so I could see this also going slightly more than before. You know what? I could see this even more because Joe Biden is a moderate candidate, and they're not that liked there. Not even liberal candidates are liked there. Putting now Bernie Sanders in about a 60 delegate lead. Moving now into the state of Oregon with about a 55-45 and edging out for Barack Obama. You could see maybe a 53-46. Now moving into the largest delegate held state, right? Yeah, that's what I thought, 416, with about a 55-45 and Barack Obama not carrying it, and I think more progressive wave happening in California. I think it could cement a victory for him, especially, you know what, I could see it even a little bit larger just because of moderate candidates not being too accepted there. It's mostly progressive becoming now. Let's make it, if I can make it a 54, that would be great. That's fine. 40, 53, 46. Now putting Bernie in a 92 lead. Now moving to the South, which this is very popular for Joe Biden. State of Oklahoma, it is carried by Bernie and carried by Hillary, cementing a larger win than before. Moving into the state of Texas, about a 65-35 and narrow it out. So Barack Obama wasn't actually too popular in the state of Texas, and Beto O'Rourke was sort of like a Bernie candidate and sort of not. So I could see this slightly narrower by about a 10% less, giving this to Joe Biden by about 24 delegates. Moving into the state of Arkansas, about a, what was that, 65-35 about, and Barack Obama not carrying it. And now with the home state not having effect, probably a 41-59. Moving into the state of Louisiana, about a 75-25, probably about the same. Maybe a slight shift, because the South is basically more moderate liberal Democrat liking. Moving into the state of Mississippi, which went about 80-20, edged out for Barack Obama. Probably a slight shift. Moving into the state of Alabama, which is about a 20-80 as well, edged out for Obama. Probably about the same margin. And now Joe Biden is taking the lead very slightly. Moving into the state of Tennessee, which went 60-40 and went for Hillary Clinton. Probably a 46-53. Moving into the state of Kentucky, which was almost 50-50. Almost 50-50. Probably would edge out for Joe Biden, though. Moving into the state of Virginia, about 60-40. Went to Barack Obama by a large amount. Probably about 60-40 again. Moving into the state of North Carolina, about a 60-40 and about probably 10%. And Joe Biden, I could actually see doing pretty well there. Moving into the state of South Carolina, about a 75-25 and probably about the same. I can see this about the same margin. Moving into the state of Georgia, which is about a 25-75, and then probably about the same margin. Actually, you could see this more because of the Barack Obama effect. Moving into the state of Florida with 219 delegates, Andrew Gillum, which was basically a completely Bernie Sanders-like candidate. The only reason why I'm going to say this is it wasn't a Democratic year where he could have won, but he lost by around 50,000 votes in a Democratic year, which was very surprising. I expected him to lose anyways. And I will give this to Joe Biden, but let me figure out the percent. 60-40, about the same. So this will be closer, definitely closer than 2016, but it will cement into the Joe Biden column. Moving into the state of Alaska, very popular for Bernie Sanders, probably would win here about 80%, as well as in the state of Hawaii would be about the same. Now moving into the state of Puerto Rico, which I could actually see this probably 58, I could see. And then the rest of these, I could see almost a 33% for Bernie Sanders, 66% for Joe Biden. Except for Guam, I could see the 80-20 about. So now, even close still, 150 delegate difference. Oh, I forgot the state, not state, District of Columbia. Bernie Sanders would get would get probably 2 delegates. But leaving to super delegates, this is close as it is. But with super delegates, which heavily went to Hillary Clinton, probably would go heavily for Joe Biden. They do not like Bernie Sanders too well. So I could see probably 75-25. And this is the main reason that I could see Joe Biden. Actually, let me fix California a little because I think I did that wrong. It should be like 42-57 actually. So yeah, about 2,000 to 2,500 delegates, which is definitely an improvement from 2016 where he was at 1,860 to now 150, basically net gain. A couple states flipped. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna leave a what's it called? The thing at the top right where you could click to vote on who you would support in a primary between Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. I personally think it would edge to Joe Biden just because of the super delegates, but I want to see what you guys think in the support. Thank you for watching. Go and subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to get notified when new videos come out. Bye.